So cool. Flight of the winged serpent. Chapter 1. It's a serpent. Looks so cool, exclaimed Jamie as his best friend Tom flew the last miniature jungle tree. The two boys had spent the morning painting the prehistoric landscape and were just finishing the scenery. The scale model was a big tabletop and was going to be one of the exhibits on Jimmy's dad's new Dinosaur Museum on the bottom floor of the old lighthouse where they lived. The marsh is my favorite, Tom said, putting down the glue. The model was labeled Lake Cretaceous. Period. Another jungle, a plain beach with cliffs and eerie-looking marsh. Dad had set up a smoke machine under the table so that smoke blew over the marsh like a mist. Dad walked into the room with a post. You two have done a brilliant job painting the ocean, he told them, grinned at their paint splattered clothes. And yourselves. Next, Jamie and Tom added the most important items to display the dinosaurs. They arranged the Triceratops on the green plain. They're just right there, said Dad. They look as if they're grazing. He stuck his head into a crate and started rummaging. Sawdust everywhere. You can't find the Ankylosaurus, came his muffled voice. I'm sure they're in here somewhere. That's bottles are great, whispered Jamie. They're not as good as the real thing. Jamie and Tom had a secret. They discovered the entrance to an amazing land of living dinosaurs and visited whenever they could. Jamie picked up a Tyrannosaurus Rex and made it run across the plain towards the Ankylosaurus with a roar. Tom snatched up the Ankylosaurus. You're not an easy meal, Billy swung the tiny Ankylosaurus club at the T-Rex. Whoops! Tom gasped as the T-Rex ran flying out of Jamie's hand towards the shuffle of mortal creatures. Whack! The T-Rex crashed into a large winged creature and wobbled as it fell. Jamie dug like a goalie and caught it before it hit the floor. Go catch, gasped Tom. Jamie's dad came running over. Sorry, Mr. Morgan, said Tom. Isn't it broken? Jamie's dad checked the mortal's wings. No damage done. Told them now. Where's this go on the display? Jamie looked at the long beak, the outstretched wings, bony crest on the head. It's a sort of pterosaur, isn't it? Yes, it's a Quetzalcoatlus. Here's a label. Quetzalcoatlus. Jamie read that's a mouthful. The biggest flying reptile of them all, Dad explained. It has a 12-meter wingspan. That's more than 6 dads flying head to toe. Jim flung his arms out wide. What a monster, Tom said. One thing we don't know is where this Quetzalcoatlus nested, said Dad. On the marsh, the beach, or the jungle. We put the Quetzalcoatlus back on the shelf. Here's a quest for you boys. Do some research and help me decide where on the model to put it. That'll keep you out of trouble. Jamie and Tom grinned at each other. They knew exactly where to find out where the Quetzalcoatlus nested. Dino World! Jamie scooped up his backpack and charged after Tom down the rocky steps from the lighthouse. They raced across the pebbly beach, whooping with excitement to the step-headed path. Clambering over the mossy boulders, they were soon at the old smuggler's cave, the entrance to their secret world. Tom slipped inside, with Jamie close behind. They squeezed through tiny openings to the second chamber. Jamie shone his torch over the rock floor. Here are the footprints, he said. Let's go. One step at a time, Jamie and Tom followed the fossilized dinosaur tracks that led to the wall at the back of the cave. 1, 2, the familiar crack of light appeared in the wall. 3, 4, the crack widened. 5, when Jamie opened his eyes, his ground was spongy under his feet. Jamie and Tom were in Dino World again. Chapter 2. Jamie stepped out of the cave and squinted in the hot sunlight, breathing the hot, damp air. Awesome! A bristly tongue licked his hand. A little dinosaur with greenish-brown markings stood up hopefully at him. It's Juan, he cried. Gave the dinosaurs a wiggly pat on his hard, flat head. Juana wagged his tail happily and stuck out his tongue to investigate a blue spot on Jamie's shorts. Gunk, Juana spat. Paste tastes horrible, doesn't it, Juana? Said Jamie. Let's find you some nice, stinky ginkgos to make it better. He reached up and picked up a handful of sticky orange fruits from a nearby ginkgo tree. Juana gulped down the ginkgos in one go, juice spilling out of his mouth and down his chest. His long bristly tongue licked his face and grunted happily. Jamie stuck a few more ginkgos in his backpack. The boys went to the edge of the steep slope that led to the jungle. They scanned the thick green canopy of the trees below. One day for sure, said Tom. Quetzalcoatlus couldn't live in there. Not with that huge wingspan. The trees are too close together. And I don't see them any nest in the treetops. Jamie opened his fossil finder and put Quetzalcoatlus in his search. Thought to have eaten like heron, diving down for fish, but so maybe they live in water. Misty Lagoon, said Tom, but I only remember seeing smaller characters there, nothing as big as a Quetzalcoatl. What about White Ocean? Said Jamie eagerly. He shielded his eyes with sand and peered out over the jungle to where the ocean waves broke in a white line. Tom whipped his compass out of his pocket. West it is. The boys made their way down into the thick, damp underground of the jungle. One ran happily alongside them. He stopped to headbutt a pine tree and greedily ate the cones that fell. Sharp cones stirred the heart of brightly colored butterflies as the boys' hands. They swarmed for a moment and settled on a bush covered with white flowers. The boys crossed the river in gradually the dense jungle wind. They passed the lagoon underground, become sandy with tall spiky plants shooting up in places. Tiny waves breaking. Exclaimed Tom. Gracia! They charged through the SPU trees and out into the sunlight. Wow, breathed Jerry, getting into a halt. He pointed down the beach. Check out those cliffs. They're even higher than back in Dinosaur Cove. Sharp ledges and leafy green bushes covered the huge cliff face. In front of them, golden beach stretched towards the water. One swung around, getting its snout covered in sand. Maybe this first trip. To the seaside. Jamie laughed. Sorry, we forgot the bucket and spade, Juana. Awesome, shouted Thomas. Above the ground and crashing breakers and the gusting wind. Look at those waves, fantastic for surfing. If you don't mind the predators, Jimmy reminded him, I bet it's not just lobsters and crab under here. He typed lake cretaceous sea creatures into the fossil finder and scrolled down the entries. Elasmosaurus, huge long-necked marine reptile. Looks like the Loch Ness monster. He showed Tom the picture at the screen. Platyceratops, sharp-toothed sea lizard. There are sharks too. I could do a great TV commentary from my surfboard. Tom pretended to be riding waves and speaking into a microphone. Here you have the giant Platyceratops. I can see every one of the sea lizard's saggy teeth and it's got me. Jimmy laughed as his friend fell on the sand and fought an invisible Platyceratops. Suddenly Tom jumped to his feet. What is that? Pointed to the horizon. It's the size of a plane. Jimmy screened his eyes with his hands. Far away over the sea, a huge winged creature was gliding down the graceful circles, rising and falling with the air currents. Tom whistled. It's just like your dad's model. Look, here comes some more. The two boys looked at each other. It's Quetzalcoatlus, they shouted. Chapter 3. Jamie and Tom watched as the huge cetaceans made endless circles about the surf. One of them was getting closer, searching for fish, said Tom. Do you think his nest is nearby? It might be in the sand, suggested Jamie. Like the turtles. They walked along the high tide line, crunching through remnants of patterned blue-tail shell, but couldn't see any imprints of paddles on the ground to suggest a nest. Wouldn't this look good in your dad's museum? Tom said, picking up a shell. Shame it would. Just turn to dust and took it back. Even if we could, added Jimmy, these have been extinct for millions of years. Dad would want to know how we found one that's not a fossil. I trotted down the beach and looked suspiciously at the waves. Waiting for a little paddle, Anna? Called Tom. The little dinosaur crept towards the edge of the water and stuck his snout. Gunk! Spluttered and darted back. The boys burst out laughing. The salt must have tasted worse than paint, said Jamie. Poor Wana. Wana scratched at his mouth with his round claws as he was trying to get rid of the taste. Then Tom spotted a cave at the bottom of the cliff. That would be a great hiding place for the Quetzalcoatl's nest. The boys went to investigate. Jamie pulled out his torch and shone it to the dark beyond the cave entrance. It was empty. There's no sign of a Quetzalcoatl nest. Ark! Boys whirled around at the defending sound behind them. An enormous shadow was now moving over the sand. He dived into the cave mouth. Wana gunked in alarm and followed. Gigantic creature swept down and landed on the sand with loud flapping wings that sounded like boat sails in the wind. Jamie and Tom stared in amazement. In the sand, a loud flapping of wings that sounded like boat sails again flapped in the wind. They looked up and they could see a featherless body neck that seemed to snake up to the sky. It stood above them, as tall as a house. Twisting its long neck slowly this way and that, and opened its beak, gave out a loud "Arr!" That's Quetzalcoatl, breathed Tom. That one weird reptile, said Jamie in amazement. It's like a folded paper aeroplane with skin for wings. The huge pterosaur began to clump awkwardly across the sand and forward, using the claws on his wings as front feet. That's walk like that, said Tom. I've seen it in a wildlife program. A gust of wind buffeted the Quetzalcoatl, ran a few steps on its long skinny legs, caught the outrat, and took off. See where it goes, cried Jamie. The boys dashed out of the shelter of the cave mouth, watched as the Quetzalcoatl's rise. The wind puffed back towards the cliff, but it soon turned and soared, flapping its powerful wings to gain height. It circled around as the cliff top danced feet out for a landing. At last, with a loud "Arr!" it disappeared from view. Bet its nest is up there, said Jamie. We have to get to the top. It'll be a tough climb, said Tom, squinting up at all the cliff face. But we can do it. There are indents for our feet. And we can use the bushes to cling to, agreed Jamie. Squawk! Something landed on the sand behind them. Lay on its back with its skinny feet in the air. Looked like a large, fearless chicken. Where did that come from? Exclaimed Tom, staring up at the cliffs. There's no guess, Jamie. Watch out! They all darted back as the second one fell out of the sky and plopped down on the sand. They must be coming up from up there, Tom said. And the third creature appeared over its top of the cliffs. It flapped its wings desperately and then cartwheeled down, squawking, to land right in front of them. They got crests. Tom pointed to the little bony lump on top of each head, long beaks, claws on their wings. They're baby Quetzalcoatls. The boys watched as the three young reptiles struggled to their feet and rattled up and down, flapping their wings. They're trying to take off, said Tom. They look like big wind-up toys. Jane grinned at the funny sight. Gunk, gunk, on a sculpture of the wacky creatures. The baby Quetzalcoatl peered down at him and squawked happily. What is it, boy? Asked Jamie. I'm saying hello. Gunk! Juana nudged the nearest chick with his nose that darted out of reach. The little Quetzalcoatl slumped after him on all fours, squeaking with delight. Juana stopped, waggled his tail at them, and dashed off down the beach. Stu playtimes followed. Tom chuckled. They're playing tag. Let's get a closer look. As soon as they saw the boys coming, baby Quetzalcoatl left Juana and waddled toward. They're not scared of us, said Tom. They look really friendly. What? Jamie backed off as a long pointed beak was pushed in his long face, and another pecked at his trainers. Bit too friendly. Arg! The boys looked up. The mother Quetzalcoatl was gliding in a circle, looking down angrily. Run! Shouted Jamie. Jamie and Tom flattened themselves down the cliff face, but Juana hadn't noticed the danger. He ran around the babies, skunking and nudging them to play again. Juana's in danger, said Tom. Mother might attack him. Come here, Juana, Jamie shouted, but the little Quetzalcoatls were making so much noise that Juana didn't hear him. The huge Quetzalcoatl began to descend, stretching out long, sharp claws as she came. We got to save Juana, yelled Jamie, darting forwards. It's too late, Tom pulled his friend back. There's nothing we can do. Swoosh! The boys rushed in the air as the giant pterosaur swooped down over the sand. A second later, she was speaking for the sky. The babies were gone, and so was Juana. Chapter 4. Jamie and Tom stared, mouth open, as the Quetzalcoatl rose in the air. Juana and the three chicks were dangling from her claws. The could see the little dinosaur's tail waggling with fright. Jamie shook Tom's arm. "We gotta get up those cliffs," he urged. "We must rescue Lana." "Too right," said Tom. The first turned into soggy food. They began to climb side by side. It was a slow job. Cliff footholds were very small, and the pale rock crumpled under their trainers as they showered down. Rapidly, they edged up their way. "What's that?" Jimmy asked, looking at something jutting out above them. "It looks like a ledge of rock," Tom said. "It sticks out quite far. We've got to get over it." Luckily, the ledge was covered in creepers. Jimmy gave off one tug. It held firm. "There's only one thing, Gordon," he said. "Okay, boss," grinned Tom, gripping tightly with his hands and hooking his feet over the creepers. Jamie hung upside down and underneath the ledge, made his way like a spider on the ceiling to the edge of the overhang. He scrambled with his fingers to find a handhold on top of the ledge. Suddenly he lost his grip and found himself hanging by his trainers. He was dangling from a giant climbing frame with a deadly drop beneath it. "Jamie!" yelled Tom in alarm. "I'm okay," Jamie shouted back. He swung his arms up as hard as he could, and on the third attempt managed to grab the full ledge again. He waited until he got his breath back. Then, tensing every muscle, he heaved himself onto the top of the ledge. Soon Tom's hand appeared. Jamie took him firmly by the wrist and helped him up. The boys saw that the top of the ledge was also covered with spongy bed of creepers. "Awesome," breathed Tom. "We did it." There's the top of the cliffs," cried James, coming a little way above their heads. "Lana, here we come." They scrambled up to the cliff edge and looked over. It was nothing like the cliffs back home, which were covered in grass and wild flowers. There was bare rock with a few scattered prickly plants sticking up. The mother Kotsaki sat a little away from them. "There's no sign of Lana," said Jamie. "Or the babies. Let's get behind that bush with the red flowers," whispered Tom. "The Kotsaki won't be able to see us there." Jamie and Tom crawled commando style to the thick bush. Jamie carefully parted some leaves. The mother Kotsaki filled his wheel. "Nest must be here somewhere close by," told Tom, "but it's hard to spot it with the huge pterosaur in the way." "Ask her to move," went Tom. "You ask her." As if she had heard, the mother Kotsaki waddled to the cliff edge, folded his wings, and raised his head, gazing out to sea. "Look at the three bony crests. Aren't the babies? The mother must be guarding them in their nest." The baby Kotsakis were sitting in a hole a few meters away. "But where's Lana?" Tom grabbed James' arm. "What if we do? If we're too late and they're already heading for dinner?" Gone. Cone-shaped leathery hat with two brown eyes under it appeared over the edge of her nest. "There he is," exclaimed Tom. "It's okay," breathed Jamie Lillis. "But what is he wearing?" "It's one of the chalky eggshells," Tom giggled. He stuck a hand out at the bush. "Come here, Lana," he beckoned. Jimmy tried to coax him, but Lana just stared at them. Seemed comfortable with his new friends. "How do we lure him out?" said Tom. Jamie rummaged a ginkgo in his backpack. "I'll offer him a ginkgo. That should bring him running." Trying to keep out of sight of the mother, Jamie crawled towards the nest. He had reached the edge when she spotted him. "Ah!" Jamie ducked as the huge wing nearly caught him. He darted back to the bushes, and Tom pulled him between the leaves out of sight. The ankle was squashed in his hand, just like Dominicates. There, said Tom, the water is protecting her young. That makes her very dangerous. One whack and I had been over the edge, puffed Jamie. Now what? Tom didn't answer. He was looking up. The mother Quetzalcoatl was circling the nest. That one is bigger than this one, he said. It could be the dad. Ark, ark. The male Quetzalcoatl landed next to the nest. The cry was deep and rumbling. The babies greeted him with screeches and squeals. Heads bobbed, and they eagerly opened their beaks. One sat up looking puzzled under his leathery hat. The dad bent down his head, and in a sudden motion he opened his mouth wide, right over Juana's head. The boys heard a strange gurgling noise from his throat. He's going to eat him, Jamie gasped. We tried to do something. The male Quetzalcoatl moved his head away from Juana and over one of his babies. Then he made a strange gurgling sound again. Suddenly he was sick. The baby Quetzalcoatl's open beak. The little chick gulped hungrily. Then the dad bent down to the next chick and poked again. Chick opened his mouth, caught the goo, and gulped hungrily. Oh, said Jamie. It's just like birds feeding their young, said Tom. They mash down the food into their own throats, then bring it back over them. And it's Juana's turn now. The father gurgled again, and all at once Juana and his eggshell head were covered in steaming yellow goo. Juana looked surprised. Jamie laughed. They think he's one of their chicks. Chapter 5. Juana shook his head, splattering yellow goo everywhere. His eggshell head went flying, then clambered out of the nest and began to sniff and scoff at the ground. That's our Juana, whispered Tom. Never stays for long. He's too nosy. I get out if a dinosaur will stick on my head, said Jamie. Tom craned around the bush. Juana, he called softly. Here, boy. Ark! Of course, said Jamie. It's Quetzalcoatl flying school. Mom's teaching them how to fly. And the cliffs are the perfect launching site. The plenty of height. The little baby waddled to the edge, opened his wings wide, and vanished from the sight. Boys heard a squeal of triumph, and the little Quetzalcoatl reappeared, flapping his wings. The little Quetzalcoatl was squeaking at her mother. The mom squawked back encouragingly. The baby flew in large circles and headed off out to sea. Perhaps the mother will go off after them, and we can rescue Juana, said Tom hopefully. But now the mother Quetzalcoatl is nudging Juana towards the edge. Jamie looked from Juana to the cliff top. She wants him to fly too. Uh-oh, Tom said. Got to save him. They darted out from their hiding place. Juana was squatting at the end of the cliff. He gunked and flapped his front legs as if he had been watching the others. Ark! The mother Quetzalcoatl was getting impatient. She potted Juana as she nearly fell off the cliff. Suddenly, Jamie knew what to do. Grab him, he yelled to Tom. Or jump down and aim for the ledge below. It is our only chance. Dodging under the mother Quetzalcoatl's wings, the boys charged at Juana, seized him around the middle, and leapt off the cliff. Chapter 6. Crunch! They had landed in a heap in a bouncy creeper. One of the babies was there and squealed in delight when he saw Juana appear in front of him. Boys gave each other a high five. We made it! Ark! It's a bomb, said Jamie urgently, looking up. The Quetzalcoatl was peering over the edge of the cliff. She poked her long beak down the boys and had to roll out of the way. She'd opened her wings and took to the air. We better get out of here before she circles around to rescue her chick. And Juana, how are we going to get him to the beach? Perhaps we can make a rope out of creepers, suggested Tom. Then we can lower him. It would work as long as we tie good knots, said Jamie. Gunk, gunk! They turned to see Juana clambering to the far end of the ledge and then disappearing from view. Wait, Juana! Cried Tom, scrambling across to see where he's going. You'll fall! But to his surprise, Juana was trotting heavily across the cliff face, found a little trail that wound right down to the sand. The boys followed, placing each foot carefully on the narrow path. But this is easier than the climb up, said Tom. But it's not as exciting, replied Jamie. Swoosh! The mother Quetzalcoatl swooped up past them, claws outstretched. She's come for our baby, said Tom. I hope. Quetzalcoatl glided gracefully to the ledge and soon had her chick in her grasp. She made a wide, slow circle over the beach. The boys had their breath. Was she coming for Juana now? But after an anxious moment, she rose to the cliff top and disappeared. As soon as the boys stepped onto the sand, Juana bounded up and headbutted them affectionately. Let's get you home, boy, said Tom, before your new mother comes back looking for you. They set off back into the jungle, Juana running alongside them, gunking happily. As they followed the river back to Juana's cave, Jamie stopped and wrinkled his nose. What's that smell? Juana, Tom laughed. He's still covering Quetzalcoatl puke. Yuck! Jamie held his nose. Someone needs a bath. He waded to the shallows and held out a ginkgo. Juana bounded into the river. Great, said Tom, jumping in to join them. We can give him a shower. He cupped his hands in the water and splashed Juana all over. Then Juana turned and thumped the surface with his tail. Jamie and Tom got soaked. Thanks, Juana, said Tom. At least that gross little pook has gone. Finally, they climbed out of the shadows and made their way up the hill to Juana's cave. Gunk. Juana ran straight to his nest and crawled up. You got the right nest in time, when Jamie took the last ginkgos out of his bag and pulled them by Juana's side. See you soon, little friend. They put their feet in the dinosaur footprints and walked backwards towards the cave wall in Smuggler's Cave. Hurried out of the cave and down the headland, running all the way along the beach to the path that led up to Sea Light Head. After waiting a little while for the sun to dry out their clothes, they raced up the steps. Two at a time, they burst through the door of the lighthouse. We must have been away ages, gasped Jamie. That's done so much. They gazed at the bright talking displays of dinosaur models and fossils all around the room. Awesome, said Tom, pointing at a huge almanac as big as a tire. Jamie wandered around, talking all, and the Triceratops skull looks great on the wall. His dad came in that moment, laden with books. Hello there, boys, he called. Found anything about the Quetzalcoatl nest? Boys went over to the model Cretaceous landscape. I think it would have nested here on the cliff top, said Jamie. There's lots of room for those huge wings and a perfect takeoff point. The babies could have learned to fly from there, added Tom eagerly. It's very high, and there's an offlet from the wind coming off the ocean. Good thinking, boy, said Jamie's dad. He placed the Quetzalcoatlus carefully down the cliff top. They'd be able to skim down over the sea and catch their dinner. Jamie looked at the Quetzalcoatlus model, its wings outstretched, ready for flight. Winked at Tom. That's not all they got, he whispered. If you blink me, you'll miss me.